Look at that. It's full on double rainbow all the way across the sky. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Oh god. It's so bright. Oh my god, it's so bright and vivid. Oh! 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 It's so beautiful.
I love this video. Yosemite Bear Mountain Double Rainbow is a YouTube video by a guy called Paul Vasquez. He prefers to be called Bear, although most people now know him as the Double Rainbow guy. He uploaded the video on January 8th, 2010, after he woke up to a perfect double rainbow outside his mobile home in Yosemite National Park, and pulled out his camera to record the beauty. The video went viral after it was discovered and tweeted out by the talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. And so far, it has accumulated over 45 million views. At first, people suspected Bear may have been high when he recorded this, but in fact, he was completely sober. This video is just an unfiltered, raw expression of awe and wonder caused by an encounter with that phenomenon we call beauty. We have all encountered beauty to some degree, and yet it's hard to understand, and even harder to explain exactly what it is. It is among the most fascinating and complex riddles of humankind. For thousands of years, philosophers, scientists, psychologists, theologians, and so many more have examined and explored it, attempting to unravel its great mystery. You've probably heard the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That is to say, beauty is subjective. What I find beautiful may not be the same as what you feel is beautiful. As the Scottish philosopher David Hume puts it, beauty is no quality in things themselves. It exists merely in the mind that contemplates them, and each mind perceives a different beauty. He goes on to state that one person may even see deformity or ugliness where another sees beauty. This seems to make perfect sense, since it's obvious that different people can disagree on what is beautiful or not. The problem is that our judgments of beauty do coincide remarkably often. It would seem extremely strange to most of us if someone was to say that they felt that an exquisite sunset or a baby's first laugh were not beautiful. And likewise, it would seem wrong, and even quite concerning, if someone was to say that they thought the murderer and body snatcher Ed Gein's lampshades made from human skin or the genocide of the Holocaust were beautiful. If beauty is indeed entirely subjective, then anything that one person thinks or experiences as beautiful is beautiful, and the word seems to lose all meaning, other than indicating a certain person's approval of a certain thing. So many people think that beauty is actually not entirely subjective, but does in fact have some objective quality, and there are many theories and opinions as to the nature of this objectivity. One theory is that beauty is not in the eye of the beholder, but rather, it is culture and society that shape and dictate what we find beautiful or not. This can be seen in the varied ideas of human beauty throughout the world. The Western world's so-called beauty standards, especially in the fashion industry, such as leanness, clear and flawless skin, or perfect teeth, are very different from the beauty standards of other cultures and time periods. For example, Certain tribes in Mauritania, Western Sahara, and southern Morocco have a practice called labelal. Young girls are force-fed enormous quantities of food and liquid because in their culture, obesity is considered very beautiful and hence will increase their chances of a good marriage. Scarification is the process of cutting certain patterns and shapes into your skin and then rubbing plant juices and pigments into the wound that result, when healed, in raised dark scars. This is a popular tradition and is thought to increase one's beauty in many different cultures throughout the world. Ohaguro is the custom of dyeing one's teeth black. It was most popular in Japan during the Meiji era, but is also practiced in different parts of the world. It was considered very attractive and beautiful. However, there's also a problem with this idea. If beauty is purely defined by culture and society, then why is German and French classical music adored in Asia? Why do Japanese woodblock prints hang in Western European homes? And why are the tattoo patterns of Polynesia admired and applied all over the world? Why are the works of English poet William Shakespeare translated, read, and performed in every major language? Why do we love art that was created hundreds of years ago? Surely beauty stretches beyond the confines of any one era or culture. Another view is that our perception of beauty is but one component in a whole series of Darwinian adaptations. In other words, our experience of beauty is merely an after effect of human evolution. Several psychological studies have indicated that people tend to have strong aesthetical preferences for behavioral tendencies, physical characteristics, and personality features that promote our chances of survival and to produce healthy offspring. Not only that, but studies have also shown that people tend to prefer landscapes which would have been good habitats for our ancestors, promoting the survival of our species. In the words of the philosopher of art Dennis Dutton,
those savannas in which we evolved are the ones that we still enjoy. People still enjoy today, for example, in pictures, to see trees that fork near the ground. You see these in old Dutch landscapes, where an old oak tree is kind of fallen over. We like those because they're escape routes. We like that way because I can tell you that we're directly descended, back through the 80,000 generations of the Pleistocene, we're directly descended from the people who themselves enjoyed to take those routes. Our direct grandfathers and grandmothers are the ones who took the road, and their tastes persist in our minds.
However, if our perception of beauty serves merely as an evolutionary tool to promote the survival of our species, then why do we also find great beauty in completely inhospitable landscapes, such as icebergs, glaciers, and volcanoes, or in dangerous wildlife, such as lions and tigers and bears? Why do we often find great beauty in people who, scientifically speaking, may be considered to be at an evolutionary disadvantage? Beauty must be something more than an echo of our evolved human psychology. A popular theory, which originates from the ancient Greeks, is that beauty is found in the specific arrangement of integral parts into a coherent whole, according to proportion, harmony, symmetry, and other similar ideas. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher and scientist, believed, as he stated in his work Poetics, that to be beautiful, a living creature, and every whole made up of parts, must present a certain order in the arrangement of those parts. As he states in his work Metaphysics, the chief forms of beauty are order and symmetry and definiteness, which the mathematical sciences demonstrate to a special degree. I should note here that to the ancient Greeks, the notion of symmetry did not just mean bilateral mirroring, but rather it carried a much richer meaning, indicating goodness, appropriateness, or fitting proportionately. In fact, at times, it even carried a moral weight. For example, Plato describes virtuous souls as symmetrical in his work The Sophist. This concept of beauty is exemplified by the Doryphorus, a sculpture of a spear-bearer created by the ancient Greek sculptor Polykleitos. It is also known as the Canon of Polykleitos, as Polykleitos created it as a demonstration of his written thesis, the Canon. Unfortunately, this written work is now lost, but we can form some concept as to its content from other ancient texts, such as the writings of the ancient Greek physician Galen, who, while commenting on the opinions of Stoic philosopher Chrysippus, wrote, "Chrysippus holds beauty to consist in the commiserability of parts, such as that of a finger to a finger, and of all the fingers to the palm and the wrist, and of those to the forearm, and of the forearm to the upper arm, and in fact of everything to everything else, just as it is written in the Canon of Polykleitos." However, in the words of the Irish philosopher Edmund Burke, there are many parts of the human body that are observed to hold certain proportions to each other, but before it can be proved that the efficient cause of beauty lies in these, it must be shown that wherever these are found exact, the person to whom they belong is beautiful. For my part, I have at several times carefully examined many of these proportions and found them to hold very nearly or altogether alike in many subjects, which were not only very different from one another, but where one has been very beautiful, the other very remote from beauty. You may assign any proportions you please to any part of the human body, and I undertake that a painter shall observe them all, and notwithstanding, if he pleases, produce a very ugly figure. The same painter shall considerably deviate from these proportions, and yet produce a very beautiful one. Although there definitely can be a certain beauty in the symmetry and exact mathematical order of the arrangements of parts, the concept of beauty itself cannot be confined to a series of mathematical formulae or rules. Another example of a canon is Botticelli's masterpiece, The Birth of Venus. The painting depicts the goddess Venus arriving on the shores of Cyprus upon a large seashell, pushed along by the breath of Zephyrus, the god of the west wind, who is wrapped in the embrace of the nymph Chloris. One of the handmaidens of Venus hails the arrival of the goddess, ready to cover her in a flowery mantle. The painting is a magnificent vision, stunning to behold, and we can't help but wonder as to its meaning. The dominant view among art historians is that the painting was inspired by Neoplatonic ideas. Neoplatonism was a revival of the philosophical ideas of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. You see, Venus, or Aphrodite as she was known to the Greeks, was the goddess of love and beauty, and so to a 15th century Neoplatonist, she was the embodiment or personification of the concepts of love and beauty. To Plato, and so too to the members of the Florentine Platonic Academy, the appreciation of physical beauty, or earthly beauty, was the first rung on a so-called ladder of love on which one could ascend to ideal beauty itself, divine beauty. Plato believed that when we encounter beauty here on earth, it reminds our hearts of true beauty and stirs in us a divine love, causing us to desire to forsake worldly concerns as we are drawn to the divine. Socrates describes this encounter with beauty in Plato's work Phaedrus. But since he separates himself from human interests and turns his attention towards the divine, he is rebuked by the vulgar, who consider him mad and do not know that he is inspired. When he sees beauty on earth, remembering the true beauty, he feels his wings growing and longs to stretch them for an upward flight, but cannot do so, and so like a bird gazes upwards and neglects the things below. The Birth of Venus is thought to be an illustration of these ideas. 15th century viewers would have looked at the painting and, seeing its beauty, would have felt the call of love, a longing in their hearts for true beauty, and so their spirits would be elevated closer to the divine. People often associate an encounter with beauty with a divine experience. There's another video on Bear Vasquez's channel where he explains what the double rainbow meant to him.
When I shot the double rainbow video, I was alone in my house. I was not on drugs. It was not a sexual experience. And I had just finished writing an email saying how I felt like I was Noah. You also got to know that rainbows had been coming to me with ever-increasing frequency. And when I said, what does it mean? I'm questioning why these rainbows are coming to me. I recognized that I was in the presence of God because I had just finished saying that I felt like I was Noah, who was a prophet of God who saw a rainbow. So God's visiting me right after I said I was like a prophet of God. And that's why I'm questioning what does it mean. Because why does God choose to be in my presence? Why does God choose to look upon me? I realized that it was something, that it meant something.
This reminds me of the scene in the film American Beauty, where Ricky shows Jane what he calls the most beautiful thing he's ever filmed. The Chinese philosopher Confucius once said, "Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. It doesn't matter whether it's found in something as breathtaking as a rainbow or as simple as a plastic bag blowing in the wind. Neither is more or less awe-inspiring. What makes these things beautiful is their capacity to pull us out of ourselves and make us long for something more." So maybe beauty is more than some subjective contemplation of the mind. Maybe it is deeper than the ideas of any culture or society. Maybe it cannot be completely explained by our human psyche or accurately calculated by some mathematical formula. Perhaps it goes beyond any objective ideal that we can judge. Maybe it is all of these things, and yet none of them. Maybe it is the divine call of love from a great artist to his creation. The Swiss theologian Karl Barth recognized this call that is beauty, writing, "If we can and must say that God is beautiful, it is to say that God has this superior force, this power of attraction which speaks for itself, which wins and conquers in the fact that he is beautiful, divinely beautiful, beautiful in his own way, in a way that is his alone, beautiful as the unattainable primal beauty. He alone is all that is pleasant, desirable, and full of enjoyment. God loves us as one who is as worthy of love as God. That is what we mean when we say God is beautiful." This divine beauty is the sum of all things desirable. It is what every soul thirsts and craves for endlessly. All other beauty is but a reflection of this perfect beauty. And like seeing the reflection of beauty in a mirror, it calls us to turn from the shadow of this reflection and behold the face of true beauty, causing us to echo the words of the psalmist saying, "One thing I have asked of the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord.